Well, we got off to a great start in this marathon, so let's not waste any time. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is coming your way here at the Chronicles. It's November 24th, 1992. Fans wanted a sequel to the smash hit Sonic the Hedgehog? Well, ask and they shall receive. Enter Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Unlike the last game, this game is actually done by Sega of America. But they still used the pre-existing gameplay from the last game and enhances it a little bit to make the game a lot better. Especially when I saw this one particular commercial on TV showing gameplay footage all at the same time, showing footages of people actually leaning their ears on the soil, trying to hear what's going on.
In this installment, Sonic the Hedgehog returns, and he's not alone this time. Enter Miles Tails Prower, a two-tailed fox who tags along with Sonic and is considered the closest ally Sonic will have. In this game, however, the CPU only shows his flying animation, but players can't make him fly at all, no matter how much you mash that button. But if you're playing single-player mode, Player 2 can control Tails at any time, and his AI invincibility is very useful when you want to win against bosses so easily, making him really broken. Dr. Eggman returns to South Island to once again enslave the animals, only this time as a way of distracting both Sonic and Tails, all while secretly constructing the Death Egg and powering it with Chaos Emeralds. The duo will have to traverse 11 zones in an attempt to stop Eggman and the Death Egg before destruction happens. Not much has changed in terms of gameplay, other than the addition of the Spin Dash, which is executed by holding down on the D-pad and mashing any button. Sonic and Tails will rev up in place, and by letting go, they'll blast off at a high speed, and it makes going up slopes and hills a lot easier. Unlike the first game, each zone now has 2 acts instead of 3, with a few exceptions, though the levels are designed much longer than the last game, with new badniks and more areas to explore. And the use of color in this game is much more vibrant than the last game. The last act of a zone will have you enter a boss match with Dr. Eggman, with new inventions in an attempt to kill our heroes. But the patterns of most of his inventions are just as pathetic as the last game, ranging from a slow-moving car drill to a flamethrower that's hardly a challenge due to its predictability. We first start off with Emerald Hill Zone, which is kinda like Green Hill, only longer, brighter, and more exciting, and has plenty of checkpoints to exploit if you know the order to touch them, which I'll get to real soon. Next zone is Chemical Plant, where speed boosters are introduced, a staple in the Sonic games for years to come. It's also the zone where a few times you can outrun the screen, catering to the phrase blast processing that gamers would love to coin during those years. It's also where beginners can also drown with no air pockets to produce bubbles to save yourselves. Stage 3 is Aquatic Ruin, the water level of the game. As long as you stay above high ground, there's no reason to travel underwater at all, unless you're curious on what's going down there. Stage 4 is Casino Night, where in-game gambling became another Sonic staple, and it's also filled with bumpers and pinball flippers. Stage 5 is Hilltop, filled with bottomless pits and shifting lava. Also, this zone is very boring. Stage 6 is Mystic Cave. Multiple ways to die in this zone, whether it be crushed by rocks, be flattened by crates, or that infamous spike track with your only way out is death itself. Stage 7 is Oil Ocean, where standing on oil without jumping out is instant death. There's also numerous cannons and slides to travel through, and badniks that would love to fire at you before they even see you coming. Especially those frickin' seahorses. Man, I hate those guys. Stage 8 is Metropolis Zone, the one zone with 3 acts with steam and lava that can hurt, and more of getting crushed to death. It also houses shell crackers that sometimes, even with a well-aimed jump, just that one pixel of its claw retracting can make your day really bad. It also sports slicer mantises that are plastered just about anywhere in the zone and are very cheap by firing their blades the moment you're close into contact, and they hum on you for a brief moment until it decides to give up. Many would consider rage quitting this game due to this stage, but I didn't give up. Stage 9 is Sky Chase, and it's a 1-act zone. You're standing on a plane called the Tornado, and you're just going through badniks en route to the next zone. The only advice I'll give you in this stage, don't spin dash. Because if you do that enough times, you'll trigger a glitch where you'll find yourself dismounting the Tornado to your own death right away. Stage 10 is Wing Fortress. It's bottomless pit central from here on out and certain platforms that can disappear on you. It's also a really long stage with robot roosters waiting to put a bullet on Sonic's head. But there's a slight workaround. When you find a barrier at the start of the stage, you'll eventually run into an area blocked off by propeller blades. At the expense of your barrier, you can actually bypass it before the invincibility frames stop. The final zone is Death Egg. Rather than a full-fledged stage, it's a gauntlet of 2 boss battles with no rings to save you. You'll first start off fighting against a robot Sonic, followed by Eggman riding a giant mech. It's also worth noting that no matter how fast you are, Eggman miraculously outruns Sonic. Which really got me questioning whether or not Sonic really is the fastest thing alive or Eggman is. By having at least 50 rings and you touch a checkpoint, stars will appear for you to jump inside and play the special stages in order to get the Chaos Emeralds. Only this time you now have 7 to collect. The special stages in this game has the heroes running in a pseudo 3D half-pipe course, collecting rings to meet the quota, and dodging Eggman bombs. These take so much memorization, and the controls have some delay that one mistake can result in failure and losing rings as a result of it. Keep in mind that upon exiting the special stages, you'll lose your rings and you need to collect more to stay alive.
During my younger years, I would often find myself resetting the game before I even reached Chemical Plant Zone. And the reason why is because not only do I want to get better on these special stages, especially how tricky they can be, but also, Emerald Hill has a lot of checkpoints to actually exploit. 8 of them in total, 3 in Act 1 and 5 in Act 2. And as long as you know the stage layout in each act, and know which checkpoints to touch first, you can actually get all 7 of the Chaos Emeralds before your first match against Dr. Eggman. And I will tell you this right now, folks, getting all the Chaos Emeralds in the game, you'll definitely get a cool reward for it.
By getting all 7 of the Chaos Emeralds, at least as Sonic, the best reward is yours, Super Sonic, which can be activated by simply jumping up in the air while having at least 50 rings or more on your person. Sonic can run faster, jump higher, and is very much invincible. His drawbacks, however, are getting crushed, falling into pits, and drowning. Yeah, it's sad, I know. Also, don't get too comfortable because your ring count is slowly draining when you activate Super Sonic, so you better collect more rings in order to keep that form active. In terms of sound presentation, Sonic the Hedgehog 1 had a great soundtrack, but the presentation for Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is even better and what many gamers consider to be the best go-to soundtrack for Sonic. Also in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is a 2-player versus mode, where it's a race to the finish line. The split screen is kind of an eyesore sometimes, but it's not too bad. It could have had more stages than just 3 zones and a special stage.
Like most sequels of any game, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 enhances everything from the original, as well as fix all the problems that the first game had. And with the addition of the spin dash, it helps the game define speed even more. The overall level design is not only longer, but also colorful. Just like its predecessor, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 has seen so many ports all over the place, including a version for the iOS and Android phones, which actually added in an extra stage that was scrapped from the initial development. This is definitely one Sonic the Hedgehog title that should not be missed at all. My final rating for the game is definitely going to be a 9.5. Now before we continue on with the Sega Genesis, we're going to take a little detour to one particular Sega Genesis add-on called the Sega CD. Yep, that's right folks. My next review after Sonic 2 will be Sonic the Hedgehog CD for, well, the Sega Genesis CD. So until then, this has been Musashi X. I bid you all farewell, take care, and stay tuned.